June 22nd is the feast day of St. Thomas More, the one-time Chancellor of England who died as a martyr of the faith for resisting King Henry VIII's attempt to become the leader of the Church in England. There's a famous line of More's that goes, "I am the King's good servant, but God's first." Put in contemporary language, I think we could use it for people of every nation who can say, "I'm a loyal citizen, but faithful to God first." This week's reflection builds on last week's, and I hope is appropriate as we enter the Fortnight for Freedom called for by our country's bishops, 14 days leading up to July 4th, focusing on religious liberty and our other liberties as gifts from God protected by our country. You know, our Judeo-Christian culture has both a philosophy and a theology that underpin that culture. It's built on the natural law, the belief that God has planted these gifts in our hearts, in our lives. Humans have those rights from God, and good laws and good governments help those to be protected. Sadly, throughout much of human history, those two things haven't come together, and often private and personal rights have been violated. In many lands of the world today, that's still the case, but it shouldn't be that way. That is why we can use something like this as an important teaching moment, a chance for us to really appreciate what we have as children of God and from where these wonderful rights come to us. It has been part of the genius of the United States system that natural rights are protected, that protection is enshrined in our Constitution. Is it surprising that rights are sometimes forgotten, that perhaps we forget that they have come from God, or that we don't recall all of the particulars of the Constitution, even though at different times we've studied all of those things in our schools? Well, probably not. But you know, sometimes, like when we face a moral decision, we have to go back and think about the commandments and how they apply to this situation we are now facing. And so it is that we, and hopefully our political leaders as well, should particularly ask themselves, are these things fitting that they would like to do? Are they fitting with the Constitution and what it says? That helps us these days to reflect on what we have, how blessed we are, and how we want these rights to continue for ourselves and for people around the world, so that we can truly appreciate and live as God intended us. At Archbishop Lori's installation as Archbishop of Baltimore, he had a wonderful line. With that, I'll close. "Now we must be loyal Americans," he said, "by being bold and courageous Catholics." This is Father Donald at St. Clement Church in Rosedale. May the Lord's peace be yours.